everybody, and welcome to Lattes on My Mind.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Felina. What are we going to be talking about today, Hannah?
We're going to be talking about some haunted castles around the world.
Spooky.
I'm so scared.
So grab your lattes and join us for the journey.
I'm so scared.
You're so scared?
Welcome back to spooky season. I'm so scared.
How have you been this week, Hannah?
We've had an interesting week, I think. Have we?
Have we?
Know.
Oh,
we did
we
meet
met
someone.
William Shatner.
On accident.
It was pretty fun. He came to our work, and then he was doing an interview, and we got a group photo with him, and then I held the door open for him. And you guys, this man is 93 years old.
He does not look 93,
They said he was 93, and we were like, excuse me?
I honestly thought they had misspoke.
Yeah. Like, I could see maybe 83. He does look older now than a lot of people remember him.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who William Shatner is.
Me.
Hannah. He
Literally.
was the original Captain Kirk, and then he was in, like, all kinds of stuff. He was in, like, literally just look him up. He's in
But he
everything.
does history stuff.
He does.
Which
for
is what
History
I
Channel.
would.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I knew his name. Like when they said, I'm like, I know this man's name, but what do I know him from? And apparently we were like looking through and I was like, I haven't seen him in anything.
Yeah.
But
nothing.
You accidentally held the door open for him. And
yeah, so Hannah was walking out behind me, and then there was a couple other people from our office, and I was opening the door, and I just held it open, and then he just starts walking out. He's like, all right, I'm ready to go on to the next thing, and he goes, now lunch, and then he turns to me, and then he goes, thank you, and then he turns back to his wife, he goes, lunch.
the one-track mind.
I was like, I support lunch.
And then he comes out, and it's him, because I'm waiting for you, and I was like, oh. And I was like, come on out. And he was like, how do I get out of here? I'll follow you. And I said, okay. So I just got stuck leading him out of the building. So, yeah.
And then a dog, we're a dog friendly office. And one of the dogs came out and I think he was petting him. Was he petting him? Or
yeah, he was like, oh, what's up?
Yeah, he was like, cause same.
He was all about it, yeah.
He was petting him. And then I think the owner was like, he'll follow you out. And he was like, I don't mind.
Yeah, like, he was just like, that's fine.
He was like, that's fine, the dog.
And I was like, okay, there he goes.
One day I don't bring my dog to the office.
I know, right? It's like, hey, here's my dog.
Yeah, you want to see a puppy?
It was funny, though, because, like, I was like...
She's probably the one person who did not know who he was.
That's why, but that's awesome, because I wasn't nervous.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, oh, okay, here I'm leading this man out.
I wasn't really nervous either.
Yeah. But, like, you weren't, like, a fan.
Yeah, I'm not like, oh, my gosh, fangirl William Shatner.
Right.
But it was like...
Yeah. Because we talked about, like, I was nervous being Tom Hiddleston.
Shatner, yeah.
Because I was Tom Hiddleston's fan, and he's tall and handsome.
Towering.
But, like, yeah, but anytime I can meet a celebrity, I will.
Right.
That's why I was like, sure, I'll go be in the picture.
Yeah.
Because then you can just say, I met William Shatner.
Yeah.
And
even though you don't even know who he is.
Yeah. But now I'll go watch his stuff. But you haven't watched Star Trek.
I've watched Star Trek. I've not watched all of the Star Treks.
I may have seen like an episode or parts of like here and there when I was like younger. Mm-hmm. And I tried to start watching another one, but I think it was some of the later ones. But I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, it's not Star Wars.
Yeah, I feel like they're Star Wars people and they're Star Trek people.
And they don't really combine.
Because they're different kinds of sci-fi.
Yeah.
They really are.
Star Trek I felt like was
very
really
intelligent.
Slow.
It's because it's more, I think it's because it's like intelligent. Yeah. I'm not saying Star Wars isn't intelligent. I like Star Wars.
Star Wars was more marketed toward the average everyday person, whereas like Star
Sci-fi,
Trek is like for the nerds.
I'm a nerd. Don't get me wrong. It's just like I'm like more a
I'd say more of a geek.
Fantasy. Yeah, I know, like because like I'm into more like fantasy fiction stuff, like medieval and things like that, like, you know, wizards and that stuff. Not, which I know we got in this conversation once with me and my friends, like, what's the difference between a nerd and a geek? Yeah, and I thought I was more geeky because like nerds are more like science.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what nerds are more like. When I think nerd, I think like of a bookworm, you know, who
Yeah.
like knows all these things and like
Yeah.
stuff like that. Where you are smart,
Yeah.
but
It's different.
You're not like into all the smart people stuff.
We're not science. We already talked about that. We're not sciencey. We're not mathy.
Listen, look at it this way. Sheldon Cooper. He's a nerd. Mm-hmm. He's into Star Trek.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah. So therefore.
Whereas you're a geek. You're into Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. I'm such a geek. A terrified geek.
A terrified geek.
Because now let me put a disclaimer as we talk about. First of all, haunted stuff, not Hannah's topic. Hannah is a scared girl.
She's a wee baby.
I don't like horror movies and such. Felina and Wes.
Love it.
Yes.
Marshall likes it too.
Marshall likes it too. Okay, so I'm the oddball out here.
Yeah.
I do like a good ghost story, and I like things that have like logical explanations at the end. Mm-hmm. I just don't like horror. Like, I like some scary things, but like horror scared, I don't enjoy.
But haunted castles aren't horror.
Well,
she's like, not the ones I looked up.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is what I was gonna say. Because last week, you know, we did ghosts.
We did a ghost, yeah. Ghosty boy.
Yes, and I asked you the thing about like the violence or whatever, like with the ghosts. Here's the thing about castles. They're surrounded in violence because
they're
wars and also always like disputes and stuff. So like when I was doing the castles, I was like, well, crap. Like this is like, it's like kind of some stuff I chose not to do because it was so bad.
You should have included it.
Upsetting things. So I
still should have included it.
There's still upsetting things. Okay.
I want to be mad.
You don't. Some of the stuff you don't. But so as a disclaimer, if you don't like overly scary things, some of this might get a little or violent if you get squeamish. I'm not going to go into like great detail.
That was like me with Jack the Ripper.
Right.
I don't want to just gross people out.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't.
But there is some violent pasts. However, I also noticed with the castles, it's like sometimes like the first two I'm doing do mention like some ghosts, but it's more about like the history and like why they're haunted, but like not specific things. I don't know how else to explain it.
Okay.
But some's ghosts and some's just like all this stuff happened, so they say it's haunted.
And it's spooky. And it's unexplained. That's okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So we're kind of
I'm still a haunting.
Right.
You know?
I'm doing 4 different castles because I wanted to do more, and then I got into so much detail about them and I was like, I cannot, this is already.
You can just do a part 2.
This is already too long. Yeah, there are lots of castles out there that you really can. And at first I was having trouble because it's also like, oh, you can stay at this castle and this one's haunted, but then they didn't have like any history about it. And I said, okay, but what's going on there?
Okay, but why is it haunted?
Right. Like
what has happened there?
So these are the ones that I could find like a lot on and just seemed like popular.
Yeah.
And they're all in a different country. So I was like, that's interesting.
Dang it, America.
Well, yeah. America doesn't really have castles. We have like a few stray things that are castles.
We have a castle.
Yeah, but it's not like an historical castle.
It can still be haunted.
Okay. Maybe it is. I don't know. Do you know if it is?
No, I don't.
We're only like 250 years old as a country? Did you know that?
I don't know.
It's like our 250th anniversary coming up next year or something.
Wow.
Yeah. I think. Don't quote me on that.
That's wild.
Young country. But anyway, we're going to go.
a young country.
We're going to go to an ancient castle. Ancient country is what I was meaning to say. And castle. It's called Leap Castle, and it is in Ireland.
Ooh.
Okay.
Just across the pond there.
Just across the pond.
I can't do an Irish accent. Don't judge me.
Don't do it. Well, let's establish. Hannah can't do accents. So it's possibly one of the most haunted castles in Ireland.
Oh.
And it was constructed in about 1250. So
1250.
Yeah. So
that's a ways away.
Yeah. So 800, 900 years ago? About 800 or a little less.
Sure.
I'm
not math. I'm not math
either. So first we're going to talk about a room they call the Bloody Chapel. Okay. Which is a great name to start out.
Ominous.
So I guess back in the day in Ireland, there are these family clans. That's what they call them.
Yeah,
they are like stick with their family. Mm-hmm. It's a big thing. Well,
you're a part of this clan. You're a part of this clan. Well, I can't help you because you're a part of that clan.
This family's fighting with this family, you know.
Yeah.
So there's this family called the O'Carrolls. And apparently they lived in this castle, I guess.
As you do.
In Leap Castle. As the, as the people did in that day, I guess. And this is in 1500s though, so we jumped ahead. Like the castle was built in 1200,
and then they lived there in
the 1500s, whatever. Maybe it was a long time. I don't know, but they were in a dispute about who was the next, like, chieftain is what they call their leader, I guess.
Okay.
Like who the next in line was going to be. So they were having a dispute. And during this mass, like, you know, ceremony.
Like mass, like Catholic mass.
Like Catholic mass. I was like, how do I say this? This man named One-Eyed Tige O'Carroll, or Teague.
I think it would be Teague, wouldn't it?
Well, I looked it up because it's Teige, and usually Teague is spelled Te, like A or something, right? Or Teu.
I don't know how it's spelled.
I thought it was
how it's heard.
I know. I thought it was Teague, and I saw one that said Tige, and I was like, what? So anyway, Teague. We'll say Teague O'Carroll. One-Eyed Teague O'Carroll.
Did he have one eye?
I don't know. I guess.
Which eye did he have?
They didn't tell me.
Oh, no.
He was just called that.
How did he lose his eye?
He was looking at... Okay. Forget about the castles. This man, Teague.
Tell me about
Teague. Whatever his name is. He came into the chapel during mass, and he's like, apparently like chanting holy rites. Oh. And yeah, I guess just like joining in. And then he stabs the priest literally in the back. And the priest is his older brother also. So, and the story goes that the priest like topples over onto the altar dead. And it was like his older brother Thaddeus or something.
Well, that's a lot of witnesses, dude. That wasn't smart.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he cares. Apparently.
You're definitely not going to be the head of the house.
I'm not sure why he killed the priest. It didn't get into that. It didn't get into, he must have been part of the dispute. I don't know if Thaddeus was going to take over.
My guess would be that it was between them two until he killed him and so he could take charge.
Right. So, but he was a priest. So I was like, what?
Now you got to find a new priest, dude.
I know.
Way to go.
So it's believed that this ghost is like the first of Leap's ghosts. Now, I don't know what this ghost does, except they say that like when the castle was in ruins.
Sorry, Thaddeus is the first ghost, right?
Yes, Thaddeus. Okay. That like, even when the castle was like, I don't know if it's still, because I think they remodeled it, like they not remodeled, renovated it later on, but like during a time when it fell into disarray, people would say that like when they went by the castle, randomly in the middle of the night, a light would come on in like the upper chapel, like in the bloody chapel.
Lanterns.
Right, he's lighting the way for mass.
So is it just called the Bloody Chapel because one guy died there?
No.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk more.
I was about to say that's disappointing.
Let's talk more. This is the second thing that has happened with the O'Carrolls. Now, these people, they weren't messing around, apparently, these O'Carrolls. They were relentless.
Oh, no.
They had this other family, this other Irish family called the McMahons, whatever.
Wow, that's a fun name.
Apparently, they were like, hey, can you guys teach us this new warfare tactic that you guys have? So they were like, sure. So they go into battle with them. They help this win this fight between another clan.
Okay.
And after that, they're like, hey guys, there's like 40 of these McMahon family that helps them.
Okay.
They're like, come back to a feast in celebration of our victory. Yeah. So they come back, and I don't know if they have it in the Bloody Chapel or if they have it somewhere else in the castle. But anyway, we'll talk more about the Bloody Chapel in just 1 minute. But first, they have these guys to dinner, and they poison all of them. All 40 of them.
They just helped them.
I know.
Why would they do that?
So they didn't have to pay them. So apparently there's like, it said that this family like also haunts the castle. Okay? Just poison all of them after helping them. I know. I was like, what the heck?
So rude.
So then apparently whenever, this is the other, in 1922, they discover this, which is crazy. They find this thing called I don't know how to say it, oblite, but it's essentially like a trapdoor dungeon.
Oh,
so you like open the trapdoor and there's like a dungeon down there.
That's fun.
But it's apparently like they were doing, like there were workmen in there doing something, and they discovered this like secret entrance in the Bloody Chapel. And so they looked down this dungeon and they found 3 cartloads of human bones. And at the bottom were just these spikes, like these random like spikes, so that apparently the O'Carrolls would take like their prisoners and just throw them down this trapdoor, and they would land on the spikes, puncture the lungs, and just die down there. Like, and then like the
So, like,
Carroll
they're not,
family
like,
would just like go on whatever.
Well, like, they're not identifiable then, though. 'Cause what?
They're old too. Like, and apparently I read somewhere else there's like 150 bodies probably like down there.
Jeez, oh Pete.
So yeah, so they were pretty ruthless, and that's why I guess they call it the Bloody Chapel, because there's been lots of killings
There's
up
a trap door under the chapel.
Yeah.
What a weird place to put your trap door to
I know.
murder people.
I feel like it's very odd.
I feel like that's almost sacrilegious.
I wonder. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wonder if it was like converted into something else besides a chapel later on or something.
Yeah, like it was like a torture chamber.
Yeah.
Or something. Well, we killed the priest. We don't have a chapel anymore. Let's make it a torture chamber.
I know, because it was like they would just continue like having their parties or something after they threw the people down there. I'm like,
So it'd be in the middle of like a party?
I think so. At least that's what,
What?
the article kind of made it sound like. Now, granted, probably some of this is,
Yeah.
Whenever you get in with like the spooky stuff, I'm like, okay, which is actually true. But they would just continue, as they died down there. And like, you had to think, like, you're probably not
They're
dying
probably screaming.
fast.
Yeah.
Or their lungs are punctured. Can you scream when your lungs are punctured?
Well,
I don't
yeah.
know. Sorry.
You still have your vocal cords.
Okay. I was like, I feel like you would be running out of air.
Well,
But-
yeah, but like you could still
I'm sure
be
they
like,
would be screaming.
like
Yeah.
like that hurts.
No kidding.
Think about it. Your body's going into shock.
Yeah. I can't imagine dying that way. And they just kept throwing them down there and then just never did anything with them.
Yeah, like they just kept them down there.
Isn't that disgusting? Oh,
Wouldn't they at some point? Wouldn't they all get like clogged up on the?
you would think like
Surely they had somebody go and take them off.
I'm
and
sure.
Just, like they just took them off the spike though, and then they just
Yeah.
left him. That's
Yeah.
like awful.
Yeah. So I told you that I still kept some of the awful stuff. I just some of it was so awful I didn't want to talk about it. Anyway, so that's kind of like the beginnings. It's already like shady. There's
Right.
lots of deaths there, lots of stuff happening.
So many people to haunt.
Right. Now, the castle changes hands in about the 1600s to the Darby family instead of the O'Carrolls.
Oh.
So, but then we hop forward. So this is now like the Darby's house, like, so the family line, whatever. Because one of the daughters of the O'Carrolls married this like English captain named Captain Darby.
Oh.
So it became theirs. So
she inherited the house.
Yes.
After or the castle after everybody else.
Right.
Okay.
So all the McMahons that were killed and the priest like are said to haunt the castle as ghosts. However, this thing that we're going to talk about next, I don't think it's a ghost. We'll just say that. It's called the Elemental, and it's like the most wicked spirit they consider to live in this castle.
Okay.
So this thing is thought to have been brought there by the Darby family or summoned there by the Darby family.
They were into the witchcraft?
Because the woman, well, okay, hold on. Some people think that this spirit already lived there, first of all. So we're
Okay.
going to talk about that first. They think that it could have been there from a long time ago from these people called the Druids, which are like Irish priests, monks with like, I think they have like magic though, like magical. So they think that it's possibly the spirit was already here and it was placed there by the Druids to protect the site, or it was like an O'Carroll spirit of someone that died from leprosy.
Oh.
Because
Whoa.
when we talk about like what it looks like, it kind of looks like it's rotting.
Oh.
So
okay.
that's kind of what they're like. It
Where
could
the
be
leprosy
this.
comes in. Yeah.
And then there was another. This one was like so random to me. There was this guy, Earl Gerald Fitzgerald, which is funny. But apparently he was like trying to take over this castle like several times, and he was like a magic practitioner or whatever that means. And it's proposed that like he put a spirit there to like burn the castle.
Oh.
So they're like,
it's like make it miserable to live in, so they'll leave.
yeah.
And
it
then
said,
we'll go.
yeah, it said like they were like burn the castle. He was gonna have the spirit burn the castle. I'm like, how?
How are you
First of
gonna
all,
do that, bro?
Anyways, these are proposals that it could have been there before, and it says that an elemental is like a primitive ghost that like attaches to a certain place.
Okay.
Which sounds like a demon to me.
It sounds like a diamond.
It sounds like a demon. But anyway, the reason why it was like awoken or whatever or called there in the 1900s, which is crazy. That's a leap. Leap castle. get that. So her name was Mildred Darby, and she began to flirt with the occult. So, another reason why I don't think it's just a ghost. She was getting her toes wet in the black arts, let's say.
Okay.
Dipping her toes in the black arts. Which apparently, like, for the gentry in the 1900s was like a trend or like a fashionable thing to do, is just like, oh, I'll just dabble
in the occult.
Yeah, such trendy. But so she is into this, okay? So it's thought that she was the one who like woke it up.
That makes sense.
So she wrote this article for the Occult Review. Oh. So that's a thing.
I'm going to read it.
I would be terrified. But anyways, so one night she says she sees this thing. She feels something put its hand on her shoulder, or like its hands on both her shoulders. And she looks at it. It's apparently like the size of a sheep, which is weird, first of all. So it's like little.
Yeah.
But it has like hollow eyes, like empty-ish sockets, which I think is terrifying.
So could this potentially be a child?
Maybe. Like a spirit of a child?
Okay.
But it's like got a humanish like face, but it's gray. And it's like missing the nose, like almost like it's a socket.
Like Voldemort.
Yes, exactly.
Or what's that one guy from that one show? It just came out. It's an apocalyptic show. It's based off a video game.
Fallout?
Yeah.
But what's his name?
What's his name? He doesn't have like a nose because he was like the actor.
Yeah.
And the radiation like took his nose away.
Took his nose off. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, and I don't remember his name.
I don't remember his
I haven't
name
watched it, but I know what you're talking about. What is it called? He's like the something. The Grimler.
The Gremlin? The I don't know.
We don't know, guys.
I don't know.
Don't be too mad at us. But he also apparently had like hair, and he sat on his like hind legs.
So it's a guy.
She said, I don't know if she ever said he, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But they talked about it like it was a man.
Okay.
But it was like sat on its hind legs, and she said it was like half transparent. Like when she looked at it. And when it got near her, she smelled a rotting corpse, which to me is like,
I've never smelled a rotting corpse,
I don't know,
but does it smell of sulfur?
I know. Well, that's what I was saying, because someone else said it smelled like sulfur when they saw it later on, and I was like, you and I both know.
That's a diamond.
That's a something else. But one thing that I thought was funny in this whole thing is like she was like writing like about like when she would see it, and a lot of times they were like, oh, it was in the gallery, and it was like looking down at us. So like I guess like the gallery is like, I don't know, I forget what is in a house,
like
castle,
a little
like
ghoul looking
down from like the I don't know, like the paintings, or if like it like on the rail. So I assume they had like a balcony-ish type thing like in the gallery. Yeah. And apparently like one time her husband saw it and was like, oh, you're dressing things up again to try to scare me and make me think I saw something when I didn't see something. Oh. So like, and she was like,
And is this Darby's wife? Like the Darby? What are their names?
No. Like this is like 300 years later. So it's just like they're now part of the Darby family.
Descendant. Okay.
Yeah, they're descendant. So yeah, so he didn't believe it, but he did see it once, but he thought she was messing with him because like, yeah, she had already, I think, told him about it. And so he's like, you're just making me want to see things.
So he said Halloween decoration.
Yep, exactly. So now the Darby family moved away in 1922, or they didn't move away. They were away in England in 1922. And apparently the IRA, which is like the Irish army, decides to burn the castle for some reason.
Imagine this. You go on vacation and you come home and your castle's burned down by the military.
Yeah, and you're just like, okay.
Why?
I don't know.
Maybe they fled to England because they thought that they were going to come for them.
Because what's 1922? Is that during World War One?
I have no idea.
Me either. You know me. You know me with World Wars. I'm assuming it must have been during
the war.
Like, yeah. Like, because it sounded like a lot of times like the military would take over castles and things for like bases or hospitals or prisons or whatever.
Well, that's what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say the military, while they were away, they used it for like a hospital or
I would assume they did, and then after maybe they just like burned it. Maybe. It didn't go into detail.
Maybe there was like some sort of flesh-eating virus that they were trying to kill.
But it was actually the elemental.
But yeah.
But it was,
you never know,
bought in 1991 by a man, Sean, and his wife, Anne Ryan. Sean and Anne Ryan, and apparently they're like, yeah, we see the spirits, we're fine, like they're totally fine
They're
living
fine,
together.
they're friendly.
But
Yeah.
we've never seen the elemental. So they don't know if like
Hannah, maybe the elemental burned it down.
maybe.
That's its whole
It wasn't the
purpose,
army.
wasn't it?
Yeah. By the one guy, if it was put there by him to burn the castle. The elemental finally burned the castle.
The elemental burned the castle down, but he waited till the family wasn't there
Mm-hmm.
because he ended up liking the family.
Well, he probably liked her because she woke him up.
Yeah. And she was like, don't burn the house down. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, cool, I won't. And then these people were using their house and it wasn't them. And he got pissed because he thought they left him. So he burned the house down.
Maybe.
That's what it was.
I read a later account. This is why I think like there's something weird. I read a later account. Like not many people have seen it. They think it's people who are like, you don't really see it unless you like provoke it.
Oh.
Or like if you're more in tune to like seeing spirits or whatever,
Yeah.
which is why she saw it.
Mm-hmm.
There was like this one person I was reading, like they went upstairs and they like were hit by this like mist and it like hurt them. Like they got like a stabbing pain in their side and they smelled like the sulfur or something. So I'm like, if you're hurt by it, I feel like,
yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah.
So it's obviously like doesn't like certain people, but like I don't know why I didn't like this person. Like they were like they were there for like a TV thing.
Maybe it was
and
like,
they would, like put the
get
UV
out of here.
Yeah.
I don't have my makeup on yet,
Right.
bro.
I don't have my gaunt features all outlined yet. My rotting eyes. And
I'm waiting for my eyeliner to get here from Amazon. Give me a second.
my ghost liner. All right. So that's Leap Castle. Okay.
Okay.
So there's an elemental that lives there. There's a priest ghost. There's the McMohan family. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's not an Irish person listening, but I'm sorry if there is.
If you know how to pronounce these, let us know.
So we're going to go to England now. Da-na-na, Chillingham Castle.
Okay. Is it chilling?
It's very chilling. Yes, this one, it was heavy. So it's in England, in Northumberland County or whatever.
Cool.
It's a medieval castle, obviously.
I got no idea where this thing is.
It's close to Scotland, so it's like on the border of England and Scotland.
We're close.
Yeah. So,
okay.
First of all, it's practically on the border of Scotland and England, which is important because it was originally a stronghold to defend England from the Scottish rebels, like during the time of like William Wallace and stuff.
Okay, so lots of people died right there.
Exactly.
At least on the property.
First of all, war. And second of all, this is where they would take the Scottish prisoners.
Okay.
So, and over time, the castle was built up. Like originally, it was like just a stronghold. It had like 4 towers with like walkways in between it. And then slowly over time, I don't know the timeline. I'm sorry. I started seeing dates and I was just like, there's so much information going on.
There's so many dates.
But like eventually they expanded it to have like dungeons and torture chambers. And later on after that, it was like, banquet halls and things, and like finally made into like a castle.
Oh, so it was like a war chamber.
War zone. Yeah.
And then, let's build a castle on top of it. Okay.
Now,
sounds like a good plan.
It sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. And I don't remember who fought William Wallace. It was like Edward the First or something. But like he stayed here at some time. I don't remember.
Okay.
One of the kings. But it's built in, I think it was built, I didn't have a date for this one, which was weird. It was like 1200s again or something.
Wow. What is
like,
going on in Scotland in the 1200s?
They're like, they're having war. There are disputes and they need ways to protect and places to bring
defend
people.
And torture.
Now, from the story I'm about to tell you, there is some historical doubt surrounding this guy. But there is like, for sure, like there was lots of violence and lots of torturing that went on. But this like guy that they like.
Well, there's always going to be historical doubt because nobody was there.
Right. Like, and there's not like really any like historical, like this guy was actually a thing. But the story goes, his ghost is obviously floating around.
Naturally.
But his name is John Sage or John Dragfoot, which I don't know. I think maybe he had like a limp. Did he have like a limp?
Yeah.
He's supposedly like an ex-soldier or an ex-general that fought, and I think he was like discharged or he was hurt or something. So I think that's why, like,
because he had a limp.
He must have had like a limp or he was hurt.
Okay.
But he was like, he hated Scottish people because they were at war with them, and I don't know what else. He was crazy. This man, he
had a couple screws loose.
He's a serial killer.
Oh my gosh.
He's got to be like he's doing it right in front of everyone because he becomes the torturer. But there's no way this man doesn't have a serial killer mind. Now,
you got to think about that.
Yeah,
you really do. because serial killers weren't a thing.
Not really.
Until later, because people were torturing. So it was like their perfect job.
Whoever had that mentality, they were, get that guy. He'll kill
torture
these people for some reason. Yeah, there's something mentally going on that they, didn't know about then. But he...
So some people may say that if we went back to the medieval torture, we'd have less serial killers.
Felina,
I'm just saying.
We're not doing that.
I'm not saying we should do that.
But we don't even really have that many serial killers, right? There's like so many.
That you know of.
Well, yeah, but apparently, isn't there like a radius?
Yeah, it's like 1 in every 7 people you meet has killed a person.
Okay, but that doesn't mean they're a serial killer.
No, but it's like...
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh. It can't be 7. That's a lot of people.
Have killed a person?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Do you know how many people get murdered?
Yeah, but 1 in 7?
Or like, think of it this way, like they didn't murder them, but they killed them because they were like a drunk driver, or it was like, it was not really, it was like an accident type of a situation.
Maybe. Anyway, so apparently the dungeons or whatever here got too crowded with Scottish prisoners.
Yes.
Because they were rebelling against England at the time. So the king supposedly told Sage to come get rid of some Scottish prisoners because we need to make room.
I like that name though. That's unfortunate.
John Sage?
Yeah.
Like, I like that name.
It's a good name. Nice earthy name.
So at first he took them out into the fields and just started beheading them to get rid of them because there were too many, and he would dump them in the lake there. And then after he got the numbers down, he decided to do a more torture-based approach because this is what he preferred.
Yeah, because he's crazy.
Yeah.
He's cuckoo for
so
Puffs.
apparently, all right. So if any of you are disturbed by things like this, this is the section. This all is the section to skip. Just skip ahead like 4 minutes. I don't know however long it's gonna take us to talk about this.
we get distracted, as you know.
It's a little gruesome. Okay. Now that the weirdos are still here. No, just kidding.
Hey, my people.
So there was a chamber built underneath the floors where there were medieval torture devices, a rack, chains, boiling pot. I think I saw
a stretcher.
One. Yeah, like the stretcher. I think that's called the rack or whatever it's called. I don't know. And then I was looking through the photos. They still have this torture stuff there. And it's like...
So all these spirits are like attached.
Yeah, like and I think it's like the original stuff because they were like, it's in good condition still. I'm like, oh, what? Wait, they're really there? And there was like this chair.
That'd be cool to see though, for real.
Yeah, I would be like screaming and crying. But they had this like chair that I saw in the pictures that had like spikes coming out of it.
Yeah. And they have to like sit on it. I think, didn't they like, sorry, not to gross you out, but didn't they like, wasn't there one sort of torture device where they would like slowly put the spikes into the chair?
Oh, I think so. I don't know. I don't know, but he had lots of things down there and it was really scary. But the floor was designed with blood drainage gutters so that the blood would just run and go down to the drain.
Go down, yeah.
Really gross stuff. And apparently he continued the torture for a really long time. Now, this part is, if you're still listening, this part's a little, I don't know how to say it. It's R-rated.
They've been warned.
You've been warned. Apparently, during a love affair he was having with this aristocrat's daughter, he accidentally strangles and kills her.
Yeah, such an accident.
So he's like, I'm going to put this man to death. If he's like not put to death, like I will wreak havoc. So they take him and they
take Sage, put him to death.
Yes. Okay. And apparently they like hang him, but I think they hang him like they wrap it around before they pull him up, and they pull him up. So like,
like he's not dropping. He's
pulled up and then he's, hung. And apparently like they all hate this man so much, which rightfully so. They like cut pieces of him off as souvenirs.
Cute. It's the medieval times of it all.
But apparently he killed about 7,500 Scottish people.
Alone?
And I think there were more. They were like, this is like the torture to death. Men, women, children. That's why I said skip ahead.
7,000 people, over 7,000 people tortured alone by one man?
By one man.
How long was he doing this for?
I think that's like a few years. I think maybe like 3.
7,000 people in 3 years? Are you kidding?
It might have been more. I don't know the exact time period, so I might be. Now remember, there's historical doubt around it, and that might be why. Like he killed so many. 7, that's a lot of people.
Well, I could see him being like in charge of the torture methods.
I'm sure other people.
Him being like,
maybe.
now you go do this, and then if that
That's
doesn't work,
true.
then try this, and then you're gonna go do this, and like so he's technically responsible for their deaths because he came up with what to do for it. But
he apparently walks around the castle, and yeah, I don't.
So does his ghost just walk around the castle, or is his ghost like trying to like? Is it like a trickster ghost?
I didn't see anything that was like. It was just like, yeah, his ghost is around there. I'm like, okay, but this man has to be doing more than just walking.
No way he killed 7,000 people in 3 years and is just
walking
there.
around.
You know,
that's what kind of made me mad about some of this research is because I'm like, okay, but what did the ghost do? Like, what did the ghost do? Like, surely he does more than just appear.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he like. Surely I feel like maybe they see him like dragging his foot or something, like something.
Yeah, but that's just how he walked. He had a limp.
That's true. I don't know. There has to be like when you go down. I'm sure it's like they feel it when they go in the torture chambers.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like have you heard of like people going to like the Holocaust?
Oh gosh, I can't.
Not museums, but like where like they go to like where the concentration camps are and stuff like that, and they're just like
gas chambers.
So heavy.
Yeah, I can imagine. I feel that sometimes when I'm reading this stuff, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I can't do that. But anyway, so that's the violence of this castle. And we have some ghosts, though, that we're going to talk about that aren't as messed up.
Horrific.
So if you're back, you're just in ghost territory. So welcome back. So there's this ghost that's like apparently, he's like the most famous ghost of the castle.
Oh, cute.
He is called the Radiant Blue Boy or Ghost.
Oh, is
Radiant.
he blue?
He is blue.
Oh.
Because people have reported like seeing like a blue like halo floating above like their bed if they stayed in that room.
Okay.
And they hear crying. So the story goes, which now this room is closed apparently.
Oh.
Or it was at some point, but it happened in this room called the Pink Room, and it was
so a lot of
pink
colors
and blue. Yeah,
happening here.
A lot of colors. Her name was Lenora Tankerville, and she was a countess that lived in this castle. I don't know where she came from. I don't know who she is. I just know that's her.
Cool.
She was apparently had psychic abilities. So remember, I feel like sometimes people who are into this are prone to see things or hear things.
Yeah.
She
there's certain people I feel like that are like I was telling you about one of my relatives. It's just more in tune with the spiritual world.
Right.
Like spirits will almost seek them out because they know that they can.
You can see me.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And
they have a better chance. At least.
And this countess had like medium skills and stuff. So like, you know, she apparently was like writing in her diary about like the sightings she would have in the castle.
Okay.
But this room she stayed in, apparently every night, apparently at midnight, it would get cold and she would hear a child crying behind the wall.
Ew.
And it would get really loud.
Ew. Like a baby or a child?
I think it's a child. Or like a toddler.
It's like how you were saying with like kids' laughter.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Creepy.
I think it's a little bigger than a baby because it like waddles or walks.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, it was behind the wall next to the fireplace. And like, she got so tired of it because it like happened every night and it would get so loud. And when
me with Marshall snoring,
I'm leaving. But after she heard the crying, all of a sudden a blue light would appear in the corner of the room and there would be a little boy in the light. And apparently he like wore blue too.
Oh, okay.
So it was blue light, he wore blue, and he would like walk out to her and like reach out like to her. Like I think like
nope.
I think like help me or pick me up or like
nope.
If only there's a no little boy.
No, little boy, you go away. I don't think so.
There is something disturbing about a child spirit for some reason.
Well, I also feel like I hear a lot of stories about like if you believe in this, cool. If you don't, cool.
Right.
But like demonic stories involving children. And
Ew.
that's why I'm like, no.
No. This one doesn't sound demonic. He just sounds like a little ghost boy.
He just sounds like he's crying because he wants his mom.
He's stuck behind a wall. Why didn't you cry?
So like are his bones in the wall? Did they like tear down the wall and his bones are in the wall?
One moment, please.
Oh my gosh.
So she cannot stand it anymore. So she leaves the room, has it closed off. And Why do you always give things away?
I'm sorry.
They were doing renovations once again, always when they're doing renovations, and they knocked down the wall later on. Like, you know, this lady had lived there like years and years and years and years before this, but they find it's a man and a child's bones behind the wall. I don't know why. Like, why are they behind there? They don't really know. But the bones of the child were like surrounded in blue cloth.
That's weird. Now that's bizarre.
Supposedly.
Now that's a little weird. It's suspicious.
It's suspicious. It's weird. I don't know.
Why were his bones wrapped in blue cloth?
Well, apparently he was wearing blue cloth when he died. And so now his clothes are just there.
His clothes were blue
and bones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
I think he was like a toddler. He had to be at least to walk toward her.
Yeah.
Unless he just floated because he was a ghost.
He's a ghosty
Little Casper.
boy. He's a little crybaby ghosty
boy.
I
wonder why the man wasn't haunting there. Well, maybe he was, but...
Yeah, maybe he is, and he's just looking for his dad.
Yeah.
Now, here's my question. I have actually several.
I don't have answers for you. You know I don't.
One, I'm just posing it to the class. You know? Okay. One, was the boy being abducted, and is that why he's crying so much? That's why I'm scared. Because he wants his mom.
I feel like it was probably his dad.
Well, okay, two, if it's his dad, why was his dad taking this boy through a narrow walkway in the wall?
I don't know. I know I read like at one point, like maybe they were like not refugees, like maybe they were like hiding from something, but like what and where?
Okay, so then like was his dad, because this is the Scottish one, is this from...
This is English. So.
Well, no, but like this is like the stronghold.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so was his dad Scottish and they were trying to escape?
Maybe. Because it didn't say how old the bones were. I don't know if they know.
And had they been there that whole time?
Yeah, maybe they escaped like the torture chambers.
Yeah.
And were like found a passageway. And
because he was killing children too. Or was it a guard who was tired of seeing innocent Scottish babies being killed and he was trying to take him out?
Maybe. And you propose good things.
Thank you.
Good stories.
Thank you.
I don't have answers. I don't think they have answers to this.
I need to know the
why
answers.
they were there, why they were behind the wall.
Did they do DNA testing to see if the boy and the man were related? Because they could do that.
I don't know about that either. Yeah.
They should do
that. They should. Yeah, because then we could get some, like, was he being kidnapped?
Yeah.
Like, or...
Was it someone who lived in the castle? Yeah. Like, how did they get behind the wall?
What if it was a servant stealing a royal baby? Well, then you would have heard about a royal baby being...
What if it was a royal person stealing a servant baby? What if it was the baby a child born out of wedlock from a royal person and they were trying to hide the baby?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
We read a story about that. Yep.
I'm just...
Royal baby blue ghost.
The blue baby royal ghost.
The Radiance blue boy is what he's called. I
don't know. I need to know where these people were in the wall. And like, was the walkway like? Was it a walkway? Was it like a secret walkway, or were they just like shimmying behind the wall?
I think it was like a passageway, like maybe like what servants used,
or
something. I don't know that for sure.
So if it was a passageway,
I want to know why it was built behind the wall still, because I don't know if maybe there's another entryway and this room just happens to be like.
Well, Hannah, you know castles have all kinds of secret tunnels.
Yeah. So I think it was just like a secret tunnel that like. Maybe because you know how sometimes servants would have secret passageways so they like weren't seen as they were coming and going.
Yeah, but then my next question, if it was that, why were their bones there and why weren't they discovered? Like, was the castle under siege at one point?
Well, it was probably several times under siege because.
So, like, were they trying to escape then, and then they closed off the passageway?
Maybe.
And then they couldn't get out.
Yeah, but how would they? Oh, yeah, that'd be really fast to lock them in. Or maybe he was just waiting to escape and then.
Like he couldn't escape, like they were holding out and then they just died in there because it got blocked or something.
Maybe. Or maybe he was injured or something, like the man, and then he died and then the kid couldn't do anything. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's got dark again.
Anyways.
Moving on, because we have 2 more castles after this.
Oh, no.
And we still have 3 more ghosts. Well, 2 more. So this woman named Lady Mary Berkeley is another ghost that lives in this castle.
Sweet.
And
that name sounds familiar.
Mary Berkeley? Really?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll recognize the story because her husband had an affair with her younger sister, Henrietta. And so her husband left.
Scandalous.
So she was left in the castle, and she would just walk around the halls. And
All alone
with her like little daughter or something. And then, I don't know, eventually she died of a broken heart, apparently. She stayed in the castle, and she died of a broken heart. And people say that they hear like her dress moving.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Like that's apparently
that's less creepy.
Yeah. No, you can hear her footsteps and her dress, and then like apparently it gets cold, like chill around her.
Yeah, because she's so depressed.
But apparently there was like a young picture of her that was like in one of the nurseries, and like the children.
Creepy.
Yeah, and like a younger picture of her.
Odd place to keep that.
Right? Well, probably because it was like, well, I don't know why. I guess it was your kid's nursery, but why would you put a picture of yourself? Or maybe because she stayed there at one point. Maybe she grew up there.
The child,
like her, and she grew up because it's a younger picture of her. So maybe.
Oh, like maybe it was her,
Mary,
and then so they kept
they just kept it in there.
Yeah. Mary Berkeley.
But apparently, people like the kids and the nannies who like stayed in this room would be like, yeah, she like steps out of the picture and walks in the room.
Nope.
So
no. I'm sorry. I see something stepping out of a picture.
Yeah,
I'm throwing salt at it. I'm going to say, here you go.
In the name of Jesus.
On the name of Jesus.
We're going to cast you out.
Get away from me.
So that's hers. Like, she seems harmless, obviously, because...
Well, if you think about it, it's a small picture.
Yeah. So she would be like...
So how does she, like, come...
I mean, I don't know how big the picture is.
So she would have to come out and then, like, expand.
Some of the portraits they had in the days were like this, like they're big.
That's true.
It's probably a bigger picture.
Was it a life-size portrait?
I mean, I don't know.
But also she was younger, so she was tinier.
Yeah, so it's a small... I mean, I don't think it was, like, the size of a person, but I don't know.
Creepy.
Well, she could just float out because she's...
A goose.
Yeah, she could fold up.
She's just playing tricks. She's standing behind.
Right.
The
she's
thing.
still living there.
She's behind the portrait, and then she all of a sudden comes through the portrait, and they're like,
She went probably cuckoo because...
She went cuckoo.
I said she probably went cuckoo because she was walking around the castle
all by herself.
Heartbroken. If she died of heartache, then...
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to her daughter either. It never said.
Oh.
She's probably stayed with the nannies or whatever.
Well, she probably went to live with the dad.
Oh, I guess so. But it said she had her daughter. But I guess if she died,
if she died, then they probably sent her to live with the dad.
To her aunt and her dad. Because it was her younger sister.
That's so gross.
Anyway, and apparently there is a white pantry ghost, is what they call her.
Cute. Is she cooking in the middle of the night?
She's cooking. No, they just found her in the pantry because there was this footman. I guess like the guy who like carriages whatever he does.
Yeah.
He was also in charge of like guarding the castle silver at night.
Oh.
And so he would lock himself in the pantry at night to watch the silver and like sleep in there. And apparently he turned around and there was a woman in white standing there and she's like, "Can I have a glass of water?" And so he thought it was like just a guest that had wandered in. And so he turns back around and like gets the water only to find that she's gone. And then he realizes that he had locked the door already. So no one could have gotten in. I don't know who she is. They don't know. But that's another ghost that they report seeing.
You said pantry ghost, and I was thinking she just needs a snack.
She just needs a snack. She wants water. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It was like proposed, like maybe she had been poisoned, and so she was like looking for water. I don't know, like the person, whoever. I don't know why.
Well,
that's what they said.
That don't make no sense. Water. I feel like you like when you have a bad cough, you're like, I just need some water.
Maybe she was sick.
Maybe she was sick and she died, and she's like, I need water.
I need water, and then that's how she died.
Maybe she likes shiny things.
Maybe she died
for the silver.
Maybe she wants the silver. Maybe she died of dehydration.
Maybe she did.
Maybe she did. And then this guy who was writing the article is like a paranormal reporter or investigator or something like that. But apparently he's had his own personal experience where they were staying in this thing called the Lookout apartment, which is apparently at the top of the Northwest Tower. And they were sitting talking, and apparently they started hearing these like stomps, like running around, like not running around, but like frantically, like they're like looking for something. And apparently him and his friend were sitting in the room, and the door opened like 6 inches, and then it closes, and then they hear the footsteps again. And so they get up and they go out and they search every room, and they see nothing. And they also had the key in their pocket, and everything was locked. So that's his personal experience.
What was he looking for?
I don't know. Well, the thing is, like, you can stay in this castle. So sometimes I'm like, are these gimmicks that, like, they have in place? Or is it, like, actually... But, I mean, they're historical places, so I feel like they wouldn't be, like, doing that. Because it's not like a haunted house, but I'm like, if you can stay there, I feel like maybe like you're staying in a certain like apartment of the castle. Mm-hmm. Maybe they do something to play a little trixies on the guests. But the door opened.
But the door opened and they didn't see anybody. Yeah, is the thing.
It just closed again.
That's what's weird.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like they could have like rigged it, but it's like that's kind of
an invasion
of privacy.
Yeah,
like if you're opening a door.
Yeah,
that's one thing.
Well, I could also see maybe if it was like someone else was looking for their place that they were staying at. Because you said they were staying there, right?
Yeah.
So somebody else was looking for their place that they were staying at. They opened the door and they realized, oh, this is not my room. I don't know why my key worked. Like they gave them the wrong key. Right. So, yeah. Maybe something like that.
Maybe. But why were they stomping around?
They were looking for their room.
Or
maybe they're just heavy-footed.
Maybe. All right. So that's Chillingham Castle.
Okay.
Now we're going to one that you and I have we've heard about, but I don't know if it's Huska or Haska Castle.
Is this the one?
This is the one in Czech Republic. Yes.
Yes.
And I'll try to hurry up with these next two because we are.
Oh, but this one's fun.
This one is fun. But there's not as many accounts of like personal ghost experiences because this is shrouded in mystery, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's a medieval fort in the Czech Republic.
It is.
Built in the 13th century, once again, like the 1200s.
So long ago.
I know. It's built on a cliff. Okay. And now there are folklore and tales about being like, there were other little buildings around there. Like there used to be a wood fort built there in the 9th century. And like.
It's also built on a cliff, which is kind of like weird. Like it's like a cliff. Like you cannot escape the castle or get to the castle. It's from the cliff.
If you think about it, it's a strategic thing to put a castle on a cliff. But here's the thing, is that it's not around a water source. It's miles from a water source, miles from trade routes, and it's also miles from any town. So like, it doesn't make sense
for it to be there.
Right. Like, yeah, sure, you build a castle on a cliff if you're trying to keep it like protected, which it is close to like the border of Germany, I think. Like the Czech Republic and Germany. Yeah. But I mean, it's old.
Because wasn't it said... I don't want to give anything away.
Yes, yeah.
But it was. Okay.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
But apparently the locals say that a crack opened in the rock there and there's a pit there.
In the castle.
Well, before the castle.
Oh.
First of all, so and this is the story, and they would say that these winged things and creatures would fly out of it, like demonic creatures. Like this is what
like a gate to hell.
This is what the tales say, okay? Now, remember, and this is thought to be Hell's Entrance Castle. Like, that's what they call it.
Yeah. Creepy.
So, the weird thing about this is, like, historically, they think it was built, like, as the king's administrative, like, place or, like, you know, part of his administrative hub or whatever it's called. I don't know. His administrative doings. But, like, I don't know what king, because at one point, they said the king built it, and then they said a duke built it. So.
It's probably a duke.
Bear with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a king's castle.
It doesn't.
It's more like
even the pictures of it, it's like, ooh.
Like this is trashy.
Yeah. But granted, it's probably been a long time since it's had any maintenance.
But, because they don't really, because they don't know what's going on. Like there's some weird stuff going on.
You can't like stay in it. They don't have like visitors.
They do have like, it is open to the public, but I think people don't go there because it's so out in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the middle of nowhere and it's creepy.
But apparently they claim to have seen these creatures coming out of it and all this stuff. So as the tales go, we'll say the Duke. Mm-hmm. The Duke decides, hey, I'm going to take this prisoner. And he offers that, like, I guess it's offered that whoever is willing to go down this hole to see what's down there would, like, have a full pardon or something like that. Yeah. So they take this young prisoner.
Nobody would go down there.
Yeah, no one wanted to go down there because they didn't know. Because it was claimed that there was stuff flying out of it.
Flying out of it. They didn't want to go down it.
Like, as the old legends and tales go.
So it's like, hey, you're facing, like, the rest of your life in prison. Yeah. Or you can go down this hole, tell us what you see, and you can be off scotch-free, you know?
Right. So this guy agrees. He's young. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll go down it, whatever, what the heck. So they lower him down, and it's taking, like, a really long time. They're like, what? Why is this taking so long?
Yeah.
And then they hear him scream.
And so they pull him back up.
They pull him back up. And supposedly, his hair had turned white. And he looked like 40 years older than when he had gone down.
He had aged.
Yes. Put down a young man, pulled up an old one, supposedly.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine seeing that, though? I'm not even saying that's exactly what happened. because like, you know, like people's hair can turn like from shock or fear or whatever, you know,
usually
like,
not that fast, but like,
yeah, but it's like, and maybe he looked 40 years older because his hair had turned white, you know, you never know,
right?
But like, could you imagine putting the last time you saw that person, he had brown hair. I don't know what color his hair was, but like he had brown hair. He was young. He was like, sure, yeah, I'll go down this hole, whatever. And then he comes back up and he's like scared and old and white haired. Like,
apparently they say he was admitted to an insane asylum afterward,
I'm
like
sure.
because of what he saw, whatever that is.
Well, you also have to think too. It's a dark hole. You're going
Seeing anything
deep, deep, deep down into a dark hole.
Maybe something grabbed him.
A bat?
Yeah,
like it could have been a bat,
anything.
but you're in a dark hole and you've heard all these stories about this place, and so then you're scared and your imagination's running wild. And I mean, you know how like you see your dirty laundry in the dark room and you're like, it's a person.
Literally,
you know, like,
me all the time.
Know, like you never know what your imagination could have done, and it could have just kind of drove them crazy. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's not a portal to hell. I'm just saying.
I mean, if he saw hell, he'd be really scared. So
yeah.
And if it was hell, just bear with me for a second. But like, I feel like there's like a time discrepancy between hell and earth.
Yeah.
If there was a hell, and that he could have been down there for a really long time or something.
He could have been, and that could have been what was taking him so long.
I know that's like, you know, sci-fi, but you never
know.
Anyway,
according to Sam and Dean Winchester, they come back how they went. So
yeah,
same age.
Yeah. But then they grow older. Well, no, that's just when Sam goes to heaven at the end. Never mind. I don't want to give it away.
She doesn't do that. Gave it away.
He doesn't do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. Well, they go to heven several times.
They go to heaven a lot.
Anyway, so the Duke decides to build the castle over the pit.
Stupid.
Supposedly construction was finished in 1278. Now, I read another account with the king, and I do want to mention about the king building the castle, because maybe it's the same guy and they just call him King Duke. I don't know. But in that version, like when he built the castle, there was no stairs going between the courtyard and upstairs. So they built no stairs, and all the battlements faced in, not out, like in a typical castle.
I'm sorry, wait, what's a battlement?
So like all the defensive features. So like if you were like, had like, you know how they have like the battlements where they had like arrow holes, or like you could like look between them.
They
like
face in.
Yeah. So like something you could stand on to defend.
You're apparently from what's inside the castle.
Apparently whatever it was, they had faced in.
Plot twist. It was another torture chamber, and they just dropped the bodies in the hole.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Probably. But the thing is, like, he supposedly built it around the castle because there was stuff already coming out of it.
Oh, so he was like trying to trap the stuff coming out of it. Oh, smart.
So now they thought that, you know, the best defense against this is God, if it's hell. So they built a chapel directly over the hole. Like the castle, and then the chapel within the castle is over the hole. But the weird thing is, the chapel was like dedicated to Michael the Archangel, which is interesting because Michael in biblical lore like fights Lucifer.
Yeah.
So they were like really leaning into it. Like they believed like this was the portal to hell.
Yeah.
However, it has like pagan paintings and imagery.
Yeah, I remembered that now.
All over the castle.
Yeah, it does.
And so they're like, why would they like dedicate this to Michael and to God, but then paint it with pagan stuff? Like supposedly there's a centaur woman who's like shooting the arrow with her left hand, and apparently at the time they believed like left-handed people, like that was association with the devil. And there's like a painting of her and she's using her left hand. So it's like, why all these nods to paganism and stuff, especially in a chapel? Like that was not common.
I was about to say, it makes you wonder if like somebody else got in there and like put all this stuff in there too, or two,
right,
if they were like, yeah, the best defense is God, but I don't know, what if we're wrong and God isn't real,
and what if they want to see,
we're gonna go see if like this, we're gonna just cover all the bases and put everything in here, you know? But then you know, maybe it's like just an extra layer, maybe, but then unless the left-handed doesn't make sense because it's like a nod to the devil, so it's like, what?
Well, in their eyes, obviously, left-handed people are not.
No.
But I always wanted to be left-handed.
I think left-handed people are the devil. No, I'm kidding.
So I don't know why they would do this, but maybe, like you said, they were covering their bases, or maybe it was just to tell a story.
Maybe.
Of like, we think that this is here.
We think this is what's going on.
Or something. You know what I mean? Like, because historically they would do that. They would
like
paint,
as a warning to other people who might enter the castle. Yeah,
but
maybe.
It's like really creepy and abandoned. And if you look at the pictures, it's like got that open roof and the hole in the bottom. I don't know if you remember that, but it's like, and it's got like a green roof, and it just seems like it's a very different castle. It's just like a big square.
Yeah, I do remember the hole, and I was wondering because if it was to keep, if they built the castle there to keep hell in, then why would they have a hole for it to get out?
Well, they covered it with stone, but I don't remember if it like fell in or something, because the pit is there, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's like a hole there.
There is actually a pit there,
because the old tales go like when it was just the cliff, they would try to cover it with stones and it would like fall in still. Like every time they try to cover it, but like he built over it, so I'm trying to figure out. But I remember there was like a hole in the castle.
Well, I was thinking, wasn't there a crack in the chapel floor?
Yeah, maybe it like cracked open, like they can't keep it covered. I can't remember,
because I think I remembered hearing that there was like a crack in the floor.
Probably because people would like look in or something.
Yeah, and then maybe there were stones above the hole, and then they just kept falling. Yeah, I think you might be right about that. I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a long time since we heard about it for the first time.
It was,
but it's creepy.
It did spark. It is. Look up pictures.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of this castle,
yes.
So we were on our Roku and we were looking at like the screensavers we could have,
right?
And whatnot.
Don't tell me no.
No. So I literally. There was one and it was literally castles, and the castle is on it. I was like,
why would they do that?
I looked at it, I was like, wait a second. Is that surely not?
Or
and I was like, maybe? And I was like, no. And then I looked it up and I was like, it's the castle.
It's scary. Like the other ones like look like stone castles.
Yeah, they look like what you think is a castle. This one looks like
sketch.
It's like almost like a lighthouse. It's not a lighthouse. No. It never was a lighthouse, but it's almost like someone built a lighthouse and then built like a building around a lighthouse. It's almost what it's like.
It's really weird because it has like the open courtyard in the middle.
Yeah.
Because they built it over the whole, but I'm like, wouldn't you want to like completely?
That's what I'm saying. Like, why wouldn't you? Maybe they did, and then the roof caved in.
Maybe.
So they just.
Maybe.
Anyway,
there's another story. Sorry. No, you're fine. That goes that in this castle in the 1630s, there was a man, and they also don't know if he was real. But I'm still going to mention him. His name was Aranto. And he lived there, and he was a Swedish black magician he was trying to look for an elixir that would make you live forever. And which is funny because the next one we have something about this. And he lived there supposedly, and he was killed by 2 hunters because they were scared of him. So he died there as well, supposedly. That's about how the whole story goes. He's probably haunting there. Which is interesting because I feel like that was like the only thing that was like, oh, that man was murdered plausibly there. Happened. Than a ghost. Yeah. The rest of it is like, this is a gate to hell. Like really? Because if you think about it, like the castle existed only to cover the hole.
Well, supposedly. Like nobody lived there.
Yeah.
Like
it was like it was not evidence that there is a home to someone.
Yeah. Was there even any rooms to it? Like bedrooms?
I don't feel like it. It's like walkways and chapels.
Yeah.
And really. That's what I'm saying. It's like this is what's so weird about the castles because it's like not.
It's not a castle.
Home.
There's only one entrance and exit too, isn't there?
Oh, I don't remember if it said that, but
I
maybe.
think it was like there's only one entrance and exit, so like you wouldn't build a castle
and only have
one
exit. Yeah, that's not a smart idea.
Yeah,
that's not a smart idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the thing that kind of like ties it all together is that, as you were saying, I think you were hinting at earlier, is that the Nazis became like enthralled with this castle.
Yeah.
During their occupation, and in like the 1940s or whatever it was. But I think it's thought that they like stationed there for a little while. And anyone go ahead.
Wasn't it like I thought I heard, and I could just be remembering wrong, but I thought I heard that it was like they took refuge there.
I think so, yeah.
After they lost.
Oh, after they lost?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they were there still when they lost, but like I know it was like during their occupation of like the Czech Republic.
Okay. Because I know that I heard a story about like one of the generals had stayed there after they lost. They like took refuge and they were hiding there.
Was it Himmler?
Maybe.
Someone? Heinrich Himmler? Because he's mentioned. Yeah. So it was claimed that they would see lights at night when the Nazis were there and they would hear weird noises. And supposedly this guy, some of the higher ranks of the Nazis were interested in the occult, first of all.
Yes.
And he I think he was trying to hide this like document he had written.
I think you're right.
And it was thought that they were participating in like dark ceremonies there because they thought that they could like use the power of hell, essentially, like if it was actually there,
get back to what they wanted.
Yes, to take over the world, or whatever it was. And so I don't know if they like lost the war and then like stayed there after. Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened.
I thought, and again, I could be wrong, but I really do think I heard that they had like stayed there after the war, even because it was like a safe haven and nobody wanted to go over
probably
there.
Yeah, probably. I wonder if they were doing like experiments there.
Probably, honestly.
I feel like because he had written this thing that was like really like messed up. I don't know if it was like his manifesto type
Heinrich?
thing or whatever. Yeah, Heinrich.
Yeah.
Himmler.
Yeah.
Not Hitler. Very similar names.
They
by
are.
The way.
Yeah. Yeah, because I would always get them confused. I'd be like, is it Hitler?
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever it was first.
I don't know what these dark ceremonies entailed. Like, that was just like the proposing, like they were there.
Literally like
seance or...
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very weird. So people have claimed in the chapel, though, I guess, as far as like the hauntings go, like they hear a chorus of screams underneath the floor, which is probably like the hell portion.
Screams. Well, like they heard the one guy screaming too.
Yeah, and what me and you will never like to hear, they hear claws scratching.
That is the like most number one demonic. Well, not number. Sulfur is. I feel like the like
sulfur and then the scratching.
But if you think you are being haunted, and you're like, oh, it's just a ghosty boy, it's fine, he's friendly, and you're hearing scratching at night, that is a demon, and you need to start praying.
You might not believe in that.
I don't care if you believe in God or not, but that is a demon, and you need to pray.
It doesn't matter. You just need to pray no matter what if you hear some scratching. Okay, so we have gone for a really long time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But I am going to talk about this last one just because I think it's interesting, and it was the one that scared me the least. But it's called Frankenstein Castle, so that's why I wanted to mention it, because we're in our spooky season.
Our spooky era.
And it's funny because like this was way before Frankenstein. So
right.
It's in Germany. So we're in Germany now.
Okay.
Built again in the 13th century, around 1250.
Gosh.
All of them. All the castles.
Because there's so much death around this time. I feel
right.
Like,
And they're so old, and they're building all these castles as fortifications and things. Built by a man named Conrad II Ries von Breuberg.
Huh?
Breuberg. I don't know. And then he took the name Von and zu Frankenstein, whatever that means. So,
Von and zu.
Von and zu Frankenstein.
That's much easier to remember.
Yes. So, right. As well, especially now because we remember Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But originally, name not that scary, right? It's Stone of the Franks or whatever.
Yeah.
But it kind of fell apart, the castle, later on.
It wasn't very sturdy stone.
It was made into a prison and housed for injured like military personnel during like some of the wars later on.
Oh, okay.
And so now I think it's mostly in ruins. But then it wasn't. Obviously, it was an actual home to a guy we'll talk about in just a minute. But they have some other things floating around there. Like there was this old Lord George Frankenstein, so of the Frankenstein family. He's said to have lived there, and apparently he got in this. This is definitely like a tale of folklore because
a tale as old as time.
A tale as old as time because he like fights this dragon that lives near there.
Okay.
And like he's stung with the poison tail. So I guess like that was just mentioned because like there's a ghost here, or there's like knights and stuff that die around this place. So obviously there's people that are dying. And then there's apparently these like magnetic stones outside the castle that
I believe it.
That people like pass by, and like apparently compasses like won't work correctly around there.
I believe it.
So, and apparently like this area is like where witches would like hold their Sabbaths during this thing called...
Oh, well then I extra believe it.
Right. During this night called Walpurgisnacht. Walpurgisnacht?
Sure, yeah.
I don't know how to say it. But like the witches would conduct their Sabbaths there.
Okay.
And I don't remember if it was like a saint or something they were like the holiday is around or something. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I looked it up because I didn't know how to say it, but I don't even remember if I
pronouncing it correctly.
I was like, what is this? Like, what does this mean? Is it like, what is this holiday? But it's like in May or April or something.
Oh.
Anyway, like, so there's stuff going around the castle is the
Even
point.
If it's not like ghosties, it's like witches, magnetic
brew, magnetic rocks, knights dying,
all kinds of fun stuff.
But most significant was this man named Johann Conrad Dippel. Dipple, which is such a funny name.
It sounds like dimple.
It does. It's like Dippel. Dipple. He was born in the castle in 1673, and he was a physician / alchemist. So you know, he was
born in the castle and then like raised, and then he was like a physician.
Well, he went to school.
Yeah.
So he was a great student. Apparently, he like studied alchemy, theology, philosophy, and he was apparently somewhat like prideful, and he would get in fights with the they were called pietists maybe. It's with a T, and he was himself an adopter of Lutheranism. So like Martin Luther, I guess, Lutheranism.
Okay, yeah.
So he would have
the philosopher,
right?
Not Martin Luther King. Martin Luther,
like the guy who nailed the thesis. That guy.
Yeah.
So I think that he would have religious disputes with people a lot. Like he was known for that because he like disagreed with them, and he would get in these heated discussions in religious circles. So charges were brought against him that he had killed a man in a duel. I don't know if this is true.
Oh,
I don't know if it's true, but he decides to go back home after
as one
these
does.
accusations.
As one does.
You don't just hang around in the religious circles where they accuse you of killing someone,
right?
So he went back home, and he was interested. Like, I think he was more like in the physician realm at school, but he was already interested in the alchemy. So when he got back, he decided, I'm going to delve more into this. So he was convinced, like, oh, I think I can convert lead to gold, like, was one of his things, which would be, I mean, that would be useful, I guess.
That'd be impressive.
But his biggest thing that he did, he wanted to make an elixir of life, which I think is weird because that guy.
Yeah, because that one guy wanted to.
Yeah, but it was also the 1600s, and maybe this was a huge thing during the time. Like
probably
people
wanted to live forever.
So
I mean, they started eating mummies for crying out loud.
We've talked about this a lot
to heal their ailments. So I mean,
and that's exactly, he thought it would combat like several medical problems.
Yeah,
but he made it out of animal pieces, and he made it out of leather, blood, and horns, and I think like animal bones.
Okay. So he was summoning demons.
And he called it Dipple's oil.
Oh, is because of his name?
Yes. I was like, that is disgusting.
Sounds like it stands for something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds bad.
It's a bad name.
That's not good branding.
It's not good branding.
Someone get him a marketing person. He needs to come up with something else.
And so he's working on this elixir, and then he's apparently also working with electrical therapy. He like takes body parts from graves and like does experiments on them and stuff. And
okay.
Yeah, so like he would literally dig up corpses and stuff, and
try and electrocute them back together to come to life.
Yes, he was proposing that maybe you could transfer souls from like dead bodies.
But okay, so here's my theory. Here's my issue with that is, if you're trying to transfer souls, using body,
you need a live
parts,
person, right?
Well, yeah, a person or a part of a person would still need to be alive, right?
Right.
But also, you're compiling body parts from several different people. So, like, how would you know that it's not gonna be like, oh, the pinky toe took over the body? You know, like,
yeah.
Or, oh, like, now we have so many souls trapped inside this one body. Like, you know, like,
it would be messed up because like they're already dead parts. Like, that's what I don't understand. It's like, can you imagine like the repercussions of trying to like make a person out of something dead? Like, that's just,
no,
I don't know.
You never want to bring things back from the dead.
No, you don't mess with that. You don't mess with that.
Even witches don't mess with that. Even good old
Dean and Sam.
No, even the genie from Aladdin wouldn't even do that.
Oh yeah, he said it. Third of all, don't bring people back from the dead.
Yeah.
So the ironic thing is, apparently he writes this pamphlet, saying that he's finally perfected his elixir.
Cute. His
elixir of life, and then a year prior to his death. So he dies at 61 in 1734.
That's, honestly, a really long life.
61?
For the 1700s?
Well, I guess, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But he had proposed he was going to live until he was 135 using this elixir.
Oh, and then he
That's
dies.
why I said it was ironic.
Yeah.
A year later, he dies.
However,
his elixir in World War II, they used it as a weapon to coat wells. And it like made the water unusable, but not necessarily poisonous. So that was used like as a warfare, like a, what do they call that? Biological warfare? I don't know if it's biological.
You'll live forever. Just kidding. Use it as a weapon.
Right. Actually, we can use it for warfare. And World War II, which is so weird. Like, why would they be like, oh yeah, you know that man Dipple that lived in the 1600s? Let's use his concoction. I thought that was really weird. And then...
Yeah, that is weird.
But as far as like the hauntings go, Ghost Hunters International did like a thing on this castle, and they did find like strange paranormal activity, supposedly is what they said, and then or significant, and then they said that they like heard noises and that they had a recording of a voice in Old German saying something like Arbo is here, which was like,
who's
Arbo? I think he was like a knight that had lived there. His name was like Arbogast or something, which is also a weird name.
Arbogast.
But yeah, so as far as the haunting goes, that's kind of, I don't know. I'm like, okay, so is Dipple there? Like, it never actually mentioned that. Like, obviously this castle is like haunted and creepy because this is like how it became haunted. But I'm like, okay,
I feel like he would have to be there.
Yeah.
In order for them to have so much information on him.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, when I was doing this research, like some of them, like I actually found like the ghosts that they were talking about, and some of them were just like, it's haunted because this guy. And I'm like, okay, but so, so like, does he wander around? Like, does he see them? Was
he putting his elixir on people and it was killing them?
Maybe. Like, I want to know these things.
Because he died a year after that elixir, and then they use it for a weapon of mass destruction.
Right.
So...
Well, and they said it wasn't poisonous, but they couldn't use the water. So it's like, okay, well then, surely it makes you like sick or something. Like, that's disgusting.
Right.
It's blood, animal blood and bones and...
And you never know what disease the animals have either.
Yeah, that's true. Especially during the 1600s. Well, I mean, this was World War II, but still...
So it's
at the time he was making it.
Yeah. So my thing is like he probably killed himself with.
I would say here's the real question: would he have lived longer
if he wouldn't have used that?
Yeah, probably.
Most likely, I believe so.
Was he putting it on his? I'm assuming he's consuming it.
Is he consuming it?
Or is he just
an
like
elixir?
It's an elixir.
He would have to
I
be
guess so.
Consuming it.
So I'm sorry that was so much, and like also so all over the place because some of them were like not ghosts and things, but like this is like some of the most interesting castles.
Don't apologize. They listened to it. They liked it. It's fine.
We had lots of ghosty boys too, but
anyways,
the little baby definitely decided, nope,
not a child.
Which castle would you want to go to the least?
The least?
I think Chillingham Castle, which is the one with just because like the torture, the guy with the torture. I don't know if I could go look at those.
I would want to go to the demonic one the least.
The Leap Castle with the elemental. Oh, Hauska.
The gate to hell.
Yeah, I guess that.
I guess it's demonic, and I don't mess with that.
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't either. So maybe it would be that castle.
I've had my fill of demonic experience.
Yeah.
I'm good on that one.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'm also kind of like that, but like I also feel like that one, I don't really know because like they don't really say anything happens. Do they?
I mean, you can hear screaming.
Yeah, I guess
they don't even live there. They didn't even build rooms.
Yeah, I don't want to go there. No, I think that one the least. But also, if I had to choose another one, it would be like the one with the guy murdering all the people.
See, I'd go to that one.
Yeah, I know. You'd be like, well, it's also the one with the blue boy though. It's the same castle.
Well, but I wouldn't be in that room.
Okay.
And the blue boy's bones aren't there anymore, so he's probably.
Oh yeah,
not
they
there
did
anymore.
like stop seeing him after that. But
It's
people who go in there still
burn,
felt
baby.
like But after they removed it, like people would still be like, it still feels weird in here, and there's like still the temperature thing that goes on.
Well, but I feel like they know. Well, first of all, it's a castle. There's going to be weird
It's
temperature.
kind of drafty.
It's going to be a little bit drafty. Secondly, about the boy being in the wall,
so it's not as scary.
You know about the ghost that was there, so you're subconsciously going to be feeling something because you're like, it was
it's there. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys believe in ghosts even, or if you're at all scared by this, but I was spooked when I was doing research about some of these places. And there's still more out there.
I want to hear the stuff that she didn't tell you guys.
No.
I want to hear the really
I started
spooky
scanning
stuff.
through it, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell about this.
At one point, she was researching, she was like, and I was like, what?
I know.
I want to know.
Well, because there was one, and I will say maybe we can look into doing it. It's just that I was already like really going into all these details about other things that were like kind of sad. But there was one that I really sounded interesting that was during one of the witch trials in England. And that's what I wanted to do. But it was like very much like there was some, upsetting stuff. And I didn't know if I was going to share it. But maybe.
I'll share it.
Maybe.
If you want to hear it, let us know. You can reach us at lattespodcast@gmail.com or on Facebook and Instagram as Lattes on My Mind. You can also now listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, and Audible. So we're everywhere, baby.
Yeah. So when you go explore old castles, please be mindful that they have years of violence.
So much violence.
And you need to be careful.
And also, if you experience anything in castles or elsewhere, write in and let us know.
Yeah, and if you hire someone to help you with battle tactics, don't poison them afterward. They helped you.
They helped you, dang it. If you win a battle because of someone that you asked to help you, just go ahead and repay him.
Yeah.
Buy him a coffee or something. You know, it'll be fine.
Come on. What's due is due.
Yeah. Be good people.